Today's video is sponsored by G Fuel. G Fuel is the #1 energy drink in the e-sports world. If you are a constant watcher of my channel, you will know that I work with them all the time and I love their stuff. I am an energy drink girly and I'm always looking for energy drinks that are low calorie and have good, fun, fruity flavors, and G Fuel just knocks it out of the park. They are currently doing a buy one, get one energy tub sale where you can get 2 full energy tubs for the price of 1. These are the 2 that I picked up. First, we have the limited edition anime version of the Beauty Pie flavor, which tastes like lingonberry. And then we have one of my favorite flavors, which they also came out with like a limited anime edition. This is blue ice, which is blue raspberry. So good. You just take a scoop of this, mix it with some water, and you're good to go. So if you'd like to try G Fuel for yourself and take part in the buy one get one deal, make sure you check them out in the description box and use code Haley to get 20% off. Now let's get right into today's video. Cheers. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my ASMR channel. Today I am bringing you my monthly reading wrap-up for May 2023. So we're going to be talking about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books that I read in May. I think if I got that number wrong, it'll be correct in the title. But yeah, I think I've consistently been reading around 10 books a month, which I guess is my sweet spot right now, which is fine with me. But yeah, I film these every single month, so make sure you check out the playlist and watch the previous wrap-ups if you want to see the other books that I've read this year. But yes, without further ado, don't want to make this intro too long. Let's go ahead and hop into it. Most of the books I read today were actually on my physical TBR, so cheers for me. I love that. And I actually started the month by finishing a series. I read all 3 of the Dreamland Billionaires books by Lauren Asher. We first have The Fine Print, then we have Terms and Conditions, and lastly we have Final Offer. And I did vlog the entire series, and I'm gonna post it on my vlog channel. If you didn't know, I do have a second channel where I post non-ASMR content. So yeah, if you want to see the reading vlog, go subscribe over there and stay tuned. But yes, I read these books, and unfortunately, I don't think that this series is for me. I don't think that Lauren Asher's writing is for me, like her writing style. But these books are all contemporary romances, and each book follows a different brother. Now, the 3 brothers, Rowan, Declan, and Cal, they are the sons of basically like a fictional version of Walt Disney. And so they're really rich, they're billionaires, and they're each kind of struggling with their own inner turmoil, and they have a task. Each of them has a task that their grandfather left for them in order to get their inheritance. So let's talk about each book in order. So the first of the series, I did start this last month, so I have talked about it, but it's The Fine Print. This follows Rowan and Zara. Rowan's inheritance task is to bring back magic, like basically just revitalize the amusement park. And so he enlists the help of Zara, who is an employee at Dreamland. So this is like forced proximity, workplace, that kind of vibe. I gave this, I think I gave it like a 2 or a 3 star. I think I gave it a 3 star, but if I was being like really honest, I'd probably give it a 2 star. I just felt like the writing and the characters were very hollow. I didn't feel any sort of connection to them, but I can see why people would like these books and like this series. If you like really, really grumpy billionaire romance, definitely check it out. But I think I've realized that billionaire romance just doesn't do it for me. Eat the rich. But yeah, so this was the first book that I gave, we'll say 2 stars. Then I read the second book, which is Terms and Conditions. This one follows Declan and Iris. Declan, in order to get his inheritance, has to get married and have a baby. And so he enters into a marriage of convenience with his assistant, Iris. And I actually DNF'd this book. I got, I think, like halfway through. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I couldn't. I just really hated Declan as a male love interest. I hated him. He was insufferable, and he treated Iris like garbage. And I feel like this book was just following Iris teaching Declan how to treat a person with respect, and like that's not romantic to me, you know? Like watching a woman teach a man how to behave is not romantic to me. So I couldn't do it, and I did DNF this one. So, and then the last one, which in my opinion is definitely the best. I gave this 3 stars, I believe. And this one follows Cal and Alana, and Cal's job that he needs to do to get his inheritance is to sell the old lake house. And he shows up to try and sell it, and his ex-girlfriend that he had like a passionate romance with when he was a teenager is living there, so they have to work together. She doesn't want to sell the house, he does. There's this like second chance romance, and there's these complicated feelings. He's struggling a lot with addiction. So I would say for all these books, like check the trigger warnings, because there are some sprinkles of like drama and kind of heavier topics, but this one's definitely like, I would say, the heaviest. But yeah, so there's a lot of tension and angst, and I definitely, out of all of the brothers, Cal is the best. He's the only one that deserves rights, in my opinion. I think I just really like second chance romance. It's definitely a trope that I'm learning to really enjoy. So I gave this 3 stars though. It still lacked in some things. The dialogue in this book felt like a joke. Like, again, every book in this series just felt hollow, and the characters really felt super fake. They didn't feel like real people. I didn't connect to any of them, so it didn't do it for me. I didn't love it, but I still enjoyed it, and again, I could see how people would like it. So 3 stars. I feel like I did not do a good job at explaining that series, but if you want more thoughts and a more eloquent review, check out my reading vlog. Okay, so after that, I finally finished Bunny by Mona Awad. This book took me literally like 2 months to read. I just felt myself like not picking it up, and it's one of the shortest books that I read this month. It's not even 300 pages. I recommended this in my random book recommendation video, and I still would recommend it, but for me, in my personal taste, I just feel like this wasn't my favorite. I really did like the bunnies, and I liked like the Mean Girls Heathers vibes that we got, but I just really could not stand Samantha, our main character. I hated her. And I try to be more lenient on the female main characters because they always get like a bad rep, but this is a satirical book in a sense, and I know that Mona Awad is making fun of the way that Samantha acts in this book. Like, I understand the complexities of it and why Mona Awad chose Samantha to be the main character, but I still didn't like that bitch. Like, I still didn't like her, and I still didn't want to be in her head, and I still didn't care about her, and I think ultimately that's what hindered it. And also, I think I'm just a little too dumb for this book. I can definitely tell that Mona Awad's a great writer, and I would definitely recommend this to certain types of readers. Like, I think so many people would enjoy this and love it, and I can see why they love it. But I think I was just a little too dumb. There were definitely quite a few references in the writing that I just felt were going over my head. And yeah, it was a fun, interesting time. It's definitely a book that makes you say, like, what the fuck did I just read? And so if you like that, you'll definitely like this. But I think I've realized for myself, I prefer to finish a book and be like, okay, I know exactly what that was trying to tell me. Like, I feel more gratified when I understand what's going on. And this is not one of those books. And I thought I would like that. The Unhinged Woman, because I typically love an unhinged feminist story. But this wasn't my favorite. So I don't know. It is stunning though. Like, oh, love the cover. So yeah, 3 stars. Okay, after that, I picked up a spicy little romance. This book is like mostly born, no plot. And it is Priest by Sierra Simone. And as you can probably guess by the title, it is about a priest who ends up in a very spicy romantic relationship with a woman that shows up at his church one day. And so obviously, since he's a priest, he has taken a vow of celibacy, and so it's very taboo. It's kind of dark. It deals a lot with religion. So that's not something it's very sacrilegious, okay? If you are not into that, do not pick this up. I, for one, though, had a great time. It was hilarious. Like, this priest is literally like a feminist who listens to Britney Spears and like has sex with this woman on the altar of his church. Like, it is so fun and goofy. I grew up Mormon in the LDS church, and that was very dramatic for me. I have a lot of religious trauma, and I feel like my religious trauma really loved this book because it was just so funny. I'm kind of a sucker for anything that's a little sacrilegious. I can't lie. It's the emotional trauma from my childhood. So I gave this 3 stars. I thought it was fun. I had a good time. I think towards the end I was kind of over it. I don't typically like all born no plot books unless they're like 150 pages or less. And this one, it's not very long. It's 300 pages, but by like the 200 page mark I was kind of like done, and I was just like, fine. I had my fun little priest smut fix and I was just done. So 3 stars. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, honestly I would recommend it. I thought it was hilarious, and some of the spicy scenes were actually quite good. So yeah, definitely check the trigger warnings and like the content warnings. But 3 stars. I might continue the series. There's like 2 or 3 more that follow different people. I think there's one that's about like a woman that's about to become a nun. So I might continue, but I don't know yet. Okay. Next we have a new release. I was so excited to pick this up because the cover is absolutely stunning. This is one of my favorite covers of the year. I love it. This is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. Sarah Adams is really, really well known for being a closed door romance author. So if you're somebody that does not want 18 plus spicy scenes in their books but still wants like adult romance, definitely check out this author. I'm more of somebody that prefers a little bit of, the graphic content. I don't mind the spicy scenes, but I understand totally that there are some people that absolutely do not want that. So I would recommend checking out this author. This specific book, however, I don't know. is 3 stars on Goodreads, so I just went right in the middle. This book is the second book in a series. I did not actually read the first book, but the first book is When in Rome, and that follows a pop star named Amelia and a guy named Noah. And then this book follows Will, who is Amelia's bodyguard, and Annie, who is Noah's sister. So, yeah, but you can just read it as a standalone. That's what I did, and I had no problems. They give you enough of the backstory that you understand, like, what's going on. But in this book, Annie is like your definition. This is like definition of like grumpy sunshine, kind of. Like, she is your sunshine character. She runs a flower shop. She's a virgin. She's just super like goody two shoes. She's the youngest child, and she's just like the good girl. And so she doesn't have much experience with like dating and romance, and so she enlists the help of Will to kind of like show her the ropes. And so it's kind of like fake dating, kind of, and Will is like your tattooed bad boy womanizer kind of type. So it's essential bad boy good girl trope. If you're like that, you'll like this. For me, I rated it 3 stars because I'm just so split 50-50, because on one hand I loved Will. I think he is wonderful. He's such a good book boyfriend. He's got that, like, you know, tattooed bad boy look, but when you get to know him, he's actually really soft and sweet, and he's super communicative and healthy. Like, anytime there was ever an issue, he would talk to Annie directly. Like, there was no ounce of toxicity in this man, so I loved Will. He was amazing. But Annie, here's the thing. I like good girl, bad boy. Like, I'm okay with that, but Annie is like a 26 or 27-year-old woman who is a virgin, which is fine, that's fine, but there's like a big focus on that, which I didn't love. And she literally has a swear jar, like a grown, you are 26 years old and you have a swear jar. She calls people stinky butt munches, and she just acts like a toddler. She acts like a toddler, and I really wish Sarah Adams wouldn't have taken the whole like innocent good girl trope so far, because it just felt, I just really didn't like Annie. Like, she was nice and like wholesome, but I kept being like, girl, you're a grown ass woman, like, be serious. It just felt like a little bit too extreme of like good girl, bad boy. But yeah, definitely like the most vanilla romance that I've read in a minute. So next, I got swept up in a YA fantasy series. At the end of April and the beginning of May, I really was like in a fantasy slump. All I wanted to read and pick up was contemporary romances and like just like fun summery romance reads, which I still am definitely loving, as you can tell. But I just randomly picked up Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Carver. I was recommended this by a fellow ASMR artist, Evie, who I love. I'll put her channel on the screen. Go subscribe to her. I love her videos. She absolutely loved this series and recommended it to me. And so I picked up the first book and I read it. So this follows a girl named Evangeline, and she has this like evil stepsister who is set to marry the love of her life, this boy Luke that she grew up with. And so she makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts named Jax. And so in exchange for Jax stopping this wedding, stopping Marisol from marrying Luke, Evangeline owes Jax 3 kisses. And then the plot just goes from there. And like, that is just scratching the surface of what happens in this book, okay? Because it's a whirlwind, but I don't want to spoil anything. So it is a 3-part series, and the last book is not out yet. It doesn't come out until like October, November. So just be warned that it does end on cliffhangers like each book. So I read the first book, had so much fun. I loved Jax, the Prince of even better than the first book. I gave this one 5 stars. It was so fun. Yeah, this book, I think I really started to like Evangeline more and more, and I already loved Jax, so yeah. And the plot, there's just vampires get involved somehow. I'm not gonna explain too much, but there is a bit of vampires in this series, and I loved those bits. I'm loving this series so far. So I finished The Ballad of Never After, and I pre-ordered the 3rd book, which I believe is A Kiss for True Love, or A Curse for True Love, and I will read that the day it comes out. I promise you that. Yeah, if you like YA fantasy and you like fairy tales and you want a YA fantasy that's really romance heavy, I would recommend this series. It's really fun. And I want to thank Evie for recommending it. Thank you. Okay, next, I read another brand new release, and I actually read this the day it released in one sitting. I literally did not put it down, and it is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This is my first R.F. Kuang book. This author also wrote Babel, which I have on my shelves, and the Poppy War trilogy, which now that I've read this, I want to read everything that R.F. Kuang has written, but I started with this because it's a standalone. It's like 300 pages, and it was like the least intimidating of all of her works. And I knew that this was coming out and I wanted to read it, but I didn't have it pre-ordered or anything. But I walked into Target the day it was released, and it was on the shelf, and I was like, wait a minute, this is out. And I literally looked it up on Goodreads to see the publishing date, because I was like, did my Target put out copies early? And I was like, oh shit, wait, today's the publishing date. So I bought it, and then I just picked it up and read a few chapters. I meant to just read a few chapters, and then I couldn't put it down. And I read it in a day and a half. And I loved it. So this follows a woman who is friends. She's an author, a very small author, and she's friends with this really, really successful Asian author. And the main character is white, okay? And she ends up watching her friend die in front of her. An accident happens, and her friend dies, and our main character ends up stealing her friend's manuscript for this book that she was writing and passing it off as her own book. But the book deals a lot with Chinese culture and history, but you're in her head as she steals this story and kind of takes on this persona. She changes her writing name, and she puts on yellowface, essentially, to kind of pass it off as her own, and the book blows up and becomes super famous, and it follows the trajectory of this. And it was definitely hard to read, because obviously you're in the mind of this racist, awful person, and she is just logically reasoning why she's doing the things she's doing. And it was funny. I will say, some of the lines, I was like, girl, I was laughing, I was cringing. There were certain parts where I had to pause the audiobook for a second, because the character would just say something ridiculous, but I couldn't put it down. It was like watching a car crash, this woman just dig herself into a hole. And I think R.F. Kuang is a fucking genius for the way that she wrote this. Being an Asian author and having these gripes about the publishing industry and just about online discourse in general, because this talks a lot about chronically online people and cancel culture and stuff like that. And so I love the way that R.F. Kuang took what seems to be her personal opinions on the publishing industry and cancel culture, and then flipped it, and then wrote from the perspective of a villain. And it's done so well. I absolutely loved it. 4.5 stars. I had the 5-star feeling the entire time, but the last chapter just felt a little bit too quick. The ending just felt so abrupt. in, just pick it up, read the first chapter, because the first chapter of this book is one of my favorite introduction chapters that I've read this entire year. It is so good. I just think this showcases R.F. Kuang's storytelling and writing capability like so well, and I can't wait to read more of her stuff. Next, I read a novella on my Kindle. This is another kind of just like spicy Kindle Unlimited novella that I read in like the span of 2 hours. It's called The Vampire in the Bookstore, I believe, and it follows this vampire who is an author and has this huge library, and he loves books. And one day he's out at a bookstore and he meets this human woman who also likes books, and they kind of bond and get to know each other. One thing leads to another. They fall in love and they go back to his big, huge personal library and just have sex all over the library. It's a smut novella, so it's fun, it's goofy, it's definitely spicy. I gave it 3 stars. I just didn't like the writing style. Like, I liked the characters, I liked like the plot, I thought it was like a fun time, but the writing was very like old school, and it felt a bit clunky, like reading these characters trying to like have a conversation and get to know each other, and they're talking like they're in a Regency romance book, and it just didn't like work for me. But otherwise, it was fun, you know, whatever. So, I read that. Just a quick little novella to pick me up. And then the last book that I read this May is Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home by Jessa Hastings. This is technically the 3rd book in a series. It's the Magnolia Parks universe, and the first book is Magnolia Parks, the second book is Daisy Hates, and then this is the 3rd book, which follows Magnolia Parks again, and it's The Long Way Home, if that makes sense. This series follows 2 couples, okay? The Magnolia Parks books 1 and 3, are about Magnolia and BJ, and then books 2 and 4, Daisy Hates and The Great Undoing, are about Daisy and Christian. And all the characters in this world, they kind of like all know each other. They're in one big friend group, and they are just rich, old money elites, okay? This is like Gossip Girl. They're all just really privileged, rich people, and they just have really toxic, unhealthy relationships. That's just basically this series. There is a bit of like a crime mafia side in the Daisy Hates books, but as for the Magnolia books, they're just wealthy socialites. The first Magnolia Parks book, I ended up giving 3 stars. I just decided to give it 3 stars like a few days ago. I read it back in like February, I want to say, and it's just sat unrated on my Goodreads because I did not know how to rate it. I was very conflicted because on one hand, at times the writing is cheesy and overdone, and the romance is not romantic. It's very toxic and unhealthy, and at times I was very frustrated with the characters. But on the other hand, I was gobbling it up. It really gave me that like reality TV, just like brain candy vibe. I loved the drama, and I was sucked in, and I like had to know what was gonna happen. And I don't think I really fully realized that Magnolia Parks was like a 3-star for me until I read this one. Now, The Long Way Home, this one I gave it 4 stars, and I really liked this one a lot more than the first one. The Daisy Hates books, however, I DNF'd the first one, and I will not be reading The Great Undoing, probably. I just don't care about Daisy. I don't care about that group of people. I care more about Magnolia and BJ, so I will read the next Magnolia book that comes out, but I'll probably skip the Daisy Hates books. But anyway, tons of storyline, but in this book we get so much more information about BJ's past and the stuff that BJ specifically has struggled with, and we get to learn more about Magnolia and the stuff that they went through together, and like their trauma bonds, I guess, because in the first book, like, you know, they're in love and they have this connection, but it's very unhealthy and toxic, and they've had it ever since they were kids. And I feel like in this book you just get to understand more as to why. And I wouldn't say that like it excuses the behavior. The relationship is still toxic and unhealthy, but I think it just like explains it a bit more. So I found myself actually liking the characters a bit more in this book, specifically BJ. I think Magnolia is more frustrating in this book actually, but yeah, I don't know. I love twisted, angsty, heartbroken, guilty men that are like groveling for a girl, like trying to get a girl back, or they really, really want this girl. And men that go to therapy, and BJ does go to therapy in this book, which is a slay. Does he, you know, have the greatest journey with it? No, there's definitely ups and downs. He's not perfect. Definitely still very unhealthy and toxic, but I just kind of liked the progression that the characters made in this book, and I gobbled it up. I'm not gonna lie, I was sitting here eating up every little stupid fight that they had, and the drama, and I loved Julian in this book. Ugh, I love Julian. Yeah, so I'm giving it 4 stars. Now with this series, I'm enjoying it, specifically these Magnolia books, but it's not a series that I would recommend. Like, I would not recommend you go out, buy this, and read this series. I think I would only recommend this to like a very particular kind of reader. And as my Goodreads review for Magnolia Park said, these books are like garbage, okay? But you can call me Oscar the Grouch because I'm gobbling it up. So yeah, would not recommend it, but I enjoyed it. So if you read this and you hate it, look, don't come for me. Okay, so those are all the books that I finished during the month of May. And I thought I would talk about my current read that I just started. I'm only like 60 pages in, but I'm liking it so far. This is Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. This is actually an ARC. I was sent an advanced reader's copy, but this book actually releases on July 11th. So I wanted to talk about it before it releases so I could like put it on your radar, and I'm trying to finish it before release date. But this is a second chance romance following our 2 main characters, Emma and Elliot. And Emma is a wedding planner and Elliot is a florist, and so they used to like work together on weddings, and that's kind of how they met, and they had a fling in the past. And you get past and present perspective, so you get to see like both sides. So you get to see them in the past, and then you have the present chapters, which now they have broken up,